Some of the rules. Today's format is as follows. All of our candidates have previously driven numbers to determine their order for their opening statements, which I can promise not to forget this time. Each question thereafter will begin with the next candidate in sequence. The city council and mayoral candidates will be on stage first, after which we will excuse them. They have all promised to stay to answer questions afterwards, and they'll be followed by districts 22 and 23. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes for an opening statement. They have been asked in their opening statements to address any key issues, what distinguishes them from other candidates, and basically why you should vote for them. They will have 90 seconds to respond to the questions that come afterwards. Keeping time today is the lovely and talented Renee Maloney, the event chairman and coordinator of the Chamber of Commerce. She'll count down and display the time remaining on the tablet for the candidates. When it gets to 10 seconds, the numbers get larger and flash, so no excuses. Please hold on your applause until the form is complete. Again, candidates have agreed to remain after the conclusion of our program to answer any questions that you might have. There's 1 week left, or a little less than a week, so they'll be here as long as you need them. If we can have the mayoral candidates and the city council please take their numbered seats.
You're number 1. Hey, Sarah. How are you? Good to see you.
Hi, Bob. Hey, Sarah, how are you? You great? Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark. Thank you.
And as promised, we will start with our opening statement, and Bob will lead off.
It even works. That's wonderful. I'm Bob Lenz. I'm finishing on my 8th year on the Jackson Town Council. And I'm asking the citizens of Jackson to elect me to another 4 years. I enjoy the job. I think I have a positive influence on the decisions that are made at the council. And over these past years, I've been blessed with a great mayor, a very good manager, superb department heads, and personnel that believe in our vision and our goals. Every decision I make is it good for Jackson? If it's good for Jackson, I'm for it. If it isn't, then I have something else to say about it. It's things I like. I like quality for pedestrian amenities. I like good sidewalks that are lighted enough so you know where you're going at night. I like dedicated bicycle ways on our streets and pathways and parks. I'd like to see us get the cars off the road. And I think the best way we can do that is by getting rid of the commuters from taking care of the commuters rather than Alpine and for Victor. And I think that's the low-hanging fruit. What we have to do is we have to figure out a way, one, to get enough buses to handle it, and secondly, we have to take care of these people when they're here so they can get them to their work or to their appointments earlier. I'd like to, in order to have this, we need a new maintenance facility at Public Works to take care of the buses, and I would like to see that happen. I'd also like, I think this community, this town deserves a community center, a first-class community center. We have a man here from Lander. They just finished a community center in Lander that will seat 700 people for dinner. I don't think we need 700, but we need to have a well-vetted community, and so that we can be proud when we have functions there with visitors. It's a first-class city with a first-class community center, and that they will enjoy. And my last word to all you people from the town of Jackson is vote for Lenz.
Renee, if you'd indulge me, I'd like to ask everyone here to join me in wishing my darling wife a happy birthday today. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Rotarians, Chamber of Commerce, and Snow King. I'm Councilman Don Frank. Thank you. Councilman Don Frank, and I offer my continued service representing good people of Jackson Hole equally. No age group, occupation, party affiliation, lifestyle, special interests, or philosophy distinctions belong in my service to you. Before joining the town council, I thought I knew a little bit about town government. Having served for a while, I now know that I knew a little less than that. I'm fiscally responsible, I'm socially respectful. I'm issue-focused, I'm non-doctrinaire. I'm a centrist, and I believe in three guiding principles. The first is, help your neighbor. The second is, meet challenges with optimism. And the third is the knowledge that our actions will shape our future. Our family is involved in our community at every level: academics, athletics, civics, business. I believe every citizen has a duty to be informed, and I believe it is indeed an honor to serve. Our eldest son, Billy, competed nationally in speech and debate. Our younger son, Peter, will make his mark. Those two boys are a big inspiration for why I'm running for office, and our family believes that this is the ideal time for me to offer myself. Last week, Jonathan Schechter asked all the candidates several important questions. He asked about housing, transportation, the environment, pathways, human services, the budget, and transparency. The answer is yes, these are all critical challenges. And yes, I like puppies, I like apple pie, I like small children, I like their grandparents. I do not offer simple answers to complex problems, and I will pull no magic rabbit out of my campaign hat today. I've become known as a measured and reasonable voice on the town council. I'm considerate with my questions. I'm prepared to learn from the public, the staff, and my colleagues. Rather than seeking power, I thrive on participation. I'm a working guy. I understand the struggle of Jackson's families. The town of Jackson is an extended family, and I have knocked on every door in town. I will watch over all of us because I'm the guy who helps his neighbor.
Good afternoon. I'm Sarah Flitner, candidate for mayor. Is that too loud? Is that okay? Well, it's been a long campaign season, so many of you, apologies. You've heard how I came to be in Jackson about 25 years ago, and that was pouring coffee at Jen and I's original house of sourdough. Many of you have heard me say that I think it's remarkable that we live in a community where you can go from literally serving the then mayor, Sam Clark, his coffee, to running 20-some years later to serve as the community's mayor. I hope this very same story will be possible for somebody about 20 years down the road. I grew up on a working cattle ranch in northern Wyoming. That work ethic and resourcefulness follows me. Many of you know my husband, Bill. Both of us are small business owners here in Jackson. We also have 2 teenage sons, Pete and Silas. I like to joke that you can smell them from here, but I'm not really joking. I actually can smell them right now. I think they, well, I'll leave that for another day. I will add, though, that I was sort of relieved that neither one of them are voting ages when we were sitting down to do homework last night, because clearly I was clueless. Like you, I'm really concerned about the issues that face us. Of course, I am most concerned about housing our local working families. I think that as each of us drives in the traffic, as we meet each other in the grocery store, it's all pretty clear to us that what keeps Jackson special are the people. It's you guys, knowing each other as you walk down the street, living and working and serving together in a community. That's why I'm running. That's what I hope to protect. I look forward, like many of you who are service people, to serving this community. I believe in service as a big community value, and I think that's part of the next step for Jackson. Shoulders to the plow, we all have a role to play. I guess, finally, I just want to say, as many of you know, I have made my living as a collaborative problem-solving expert in this community for about 20 years. It's true that I did not start out with that expert part, by the way. But that is what makes me so excited about potentially serving. I think there is so much talent and intelligence in this community and so much passion. I look forward to leveraging what I know about bringing that together to get Jackson to through the next stages. I so appreciate your service as a club and as many examples of what service and leadership look like. We will continue to learn from you, and we thank you so much for your hospitality today. If you haven't voted yet, I'd appreciate your consideration in a couple of days. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming to this afternoon. I'm John Stennis, and I'm a candidate for the town council. I'm going to apologize in advance. I've had a cold, so I have a little coughing going on, so I'm going to try and not cough all over my fellow candidates here, and you as well. A little bit of history about myself. By now, many of you know, I spent a lot of time in the valley. My grandparents moved here in the 1970s, and I spent pretty much every summer here as a kid. Now I'm a young professional myself, trying to build my own life and career here in the Valley, and I understand the challenges that we face. As an associate with Gilday Architects, I've worked on a wide variety of community-minded projects, including affordable housing, commercial projects, and the Teton County Library, which is a project I'm particularly proud of because it was a project funded through FET and came in on time and on budget. As a planning commissioner, I worked on the last 2 years of the comprehensive plan, and I also know how important it is for us to get our land development regulations done. And as a councilman, I really want to put my weight behind trying to get that done as soon as possible for our community. Why am I running? I guess that's always a great question. Partly because I spent a lot of time in this community, and it's a place that I really care about. I'm committed to public service, which is why I joined the Planning Commission. And I also care about Jackson being a place that remains a community where we can all live and continue to work. I think I have the right experience and the right energy for town council, the town council needs right now. And for me, being your next councilman is about public service and utilizing my talents and knowledge in a way that I think best benefits our community. What I ask for you is an opportunity. And I hope I can count on your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Nowlin. I'm a candidate for mayor also. I've been here several generations, not me personally, but my family. I've had businesses, Master Studio, and now in Break-Ins. I'm aware of what retail and lodging is like in this wonderful place. Both of those are challenging occupations, I can guarantee you. Why I'm running for mayor is because I would like to lead this community for the next 2 years with some serious decisions that need to be made to affect the course of how this town is going to evolve backwards into what it was before. And I don't think it's so much the build structure that we grind against, or the number of people that are here. It's because we need to stop and say hi to our friends. We need to slow ourselves down somehow. I know you'll have an opportunity on the highway with the Budge Drive. That will be the largest public visual project going on this summer, and with 80 trucks estimated to be hauling dirt in and out of that part of the highway, there will be slow time, so you can stop and enjoy a conversation through your car windows as you wait for the traffic to go by and you get home an hour later than you planned to. There are all of the issues in this town revolve around housing. Housing, about how we build housing that's compatible with what we have, how we make housing that's affordable so people can stay, housing where it's located so that we encourage people to use the buses. Housing seems to be the key pin, the linchpin in how we evolve this town. We don't want to build a whole section of something, affordable housing in one area, because then we have these little ghettos that will become ghettos after 20 years of housing that is not. It's much better for more like a Whitman sampler box in our housing, a variety of housing across the area, so that there's big houses, little houses, apartment houses, in all over the town. So there's no neighborhood. I mean, when we started this project of land development, we said there would be no gated communities. And in Jackson, there should be no gated communities, either physically with a gate or financially. We should all be mixed together. And that's what this family is about, folks. And I would like to be your leader. I'm willing to do this. I have ample time and effort, and I believe in honest and fair treatment of all people. And thank you.
Thank you all. The next question is basically for all of you, if you have a different opinion, any one of you can speak to this. But you have all indicated that you are in favor of the renewal of the lodging tax. In the interest of time, I will not re-ask that question. However, if any one of you are no longer a proponent for the lodging tax, please indicate and explain to us why. Anyone? Okay, we move right along. Don, so we started with you. On numerous occasions and in many forums throughout your campaigns, you've been asked how large an issue workforce housing is in the community and to offer potential solutions, whether public, private, or a combination of the two. Now that you are in the final week of your campaign and have considered the numerous possibilities, how would you address this issue and how would you proceed?
Thank you, Michael. Perfect example of a complex question with no simple answers. I'd first start by asserting that the comprehensive plan leads us towards a goal of 65%. That may be enough, that may not be enough. If you have housing, you may view this question differently than if you're a young person who can't find housing. I'm recommending that we consider a special purpose excise tax to gauge the community's commitment to tax itself to support workforce housing. And my reasoning is that we know that intellectually and philosophically many people support and some people don't subsidize housing projects. But first and foremost, we need land. Land is precious, and if we do succeed in securing land through whatever funding source, I think it's important that we optimize those opportunities. I think there are some tools that have been left out of the toolbox to date. Micro-housing comes to mind, dormitories, which might be private or public. I've even heard substantive conversations with constituents about creating a summer 5-6 month organized campground for seasonal help. In order to get the private sector off the sidelines, we're going to have to create a mathematical calculus that offers a rate of return. I say let's look at all tools and let's make incremental steps towards addressing our housing problem.
Thank you. 3 things. We need to pass the LDRs, the land development regulations. We need a unified plan, which includes input, substantive input from the 3 housing organizations, Habitat, the Jackson Hole Housing Trust, and the Housing Authority. And finally, we need a funding source. As I said at the League of Women Voters forum a few weeks ago, I support a SPET cycle funding for housing. Many of us who've been here a while, and I see by the room, there are a few whiteheads, so some of you have been here longer than I have. Housing has always been a critical issue. I think we felt the weight of it like we had never felt before this past summer. But in fact, without a crystal ball, I do know this. We will always struggle to house our workforce, and it is the most critical thing we can do to maintain the community. And the second thing is, if we don't involve the voters and we don't involve the business community, and the SPET is a tool where we can do that, then we know the solutions that we build aren't sustainable. So it's for those reasons I would coordinate on the plan, on the funding source, and certainly the first step is to pass the land development regulations. Thank you.
I would agree with Sarah on a lot of those points. Number one is passing the land development regulations. Knowing what we can do by right with development is going to be the foundation for how we begin to discuss what we're going to do with housing. And without them in place, there's not a lot of reason to begin having a housing discussion because we don't know what we can do in town. The second thing is creating a dedicated funding source. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and I think that's a discussion that we have to have as a community, is how are we going to fund housing? If we're passionate about it, we're committed to it, how are we going to fund it? The third thing I really want to see us do is develop a regional housing authority. And much the way that the chamber advocates for business, regional housing authority can advocate for housing. And they can look for ways to do public projects, private projects, and public-private partnerships. So looking for ways where we can leverage public money to its highest and best use.
Housing. What a topic. The LDRs, well, I believe we are at this point for the lack of housing because of the time length that was taken to rethink the comprehensive plan. Next time we do something like that, folks, we need to make the comprehensive plan review very quick and put the LDRs back on the ground so the development community knows what they're playing with. At this point, they've been sitting there for 10 years wondering what their property is worth and what they can do with it. And they have withheld developing housing because they don't know what they can do. We get the LDRs that started, a section of them has started to squeak out of the chamber or the council, and that's great. We need to have it all on the ground. The dedicated funding source, it's almost as if we need to start making a savings account in the budget somewhere as a token start and see how we can make it grow. If the budget's pretty tight right now, especially with the hillside, but if we wait for a spec tax, that would be 4 years out. And if we wait for another nonprofit to show up to make it happen, it'll take another 2 or 3 years. We need to make decisions here and make the steps forward, even if they're small steps, to make it happen. But if we gave them the LDRs today, they will not have those buildings on the ground for next summer. And that's the part that worries me, is because next summer's workforce will again be out in the woods too long for the summer. And that's the concern, is short term.
Affordable housing has always been a problem in the valley. One of our citizens said it's never been easy, and that's still the case. Since I've been on the council, in one way or another, we've spent about $10.3 million in the last 3 years on workforce housing. And I hope it was spent well. Certainly we have, the 810 West is one of the exemplary mixed-use housing units in the West. Too bad it had all of that fancy galvanized iron on it that brought the community to shouting, but it was great. Anyway, I'm interested. I'll listen to any idea. I will examine any proposal. If this community wants to dedicate part of their sales tax to workforce housing, I'm for it. I would just like to say that you have to appreciate that we are a community. And we're a community because some 65% of our workforce live in this valley. And you don't understand it, or you haven't heard it said by other people. The people that come to me from the resort communities, when they come here up and down the Rockies, they know this is a community. And the thing that makes it different from a resort is the fact that we have 65% of our workforce. And that's something to cherish and to keep working at.
Thank you. Our next question focuses on the comprehensive plan and the LDRs, and I know that it's been something that you can't talk about one issue without the other, but please, this is just a focus on that. Comprehensive plan was passed nearly 2 years ago. To date, no land development regulations have moved through the system to translate the comp plan to action. These LDRs will shape the future of our community, give landowners and developers an understanding of what they can do with their assets, and in all likelihood, stimulate the economy while addressing many of the issues we face today. If elected, What steps will you take to complete the process in a timely manner and ensure proper balance that protects our character while allowing the businesses to flourish? Sarah, please go.
Thank you. I love this question because I think it aligns very well with my skill set, which is collaborative problem solving, which is developing a science-based approach to including people and their expertise and their opinions in a timely way to solve problems. It's how I've made my living for the last 20 years, and not only am I passionate about it, but I'm passionate about it in this community. As I mentioned before, one of the things, the thing that makes us so special as a community, it's you, it's all of you. So I am very confident that we can face the challenges that are on the road ahead. We've talked about them. It's affordability, it's housing, it's strain on our social services, it's certainly transportation. We are in this together, and I believe a leadership skill set that can really leverage the intellect and the talent of people like you in this room, that's what's called for. And that is what will ensure that this community remains the place that we all call home, the place that we love and want to be. Thank you.
Well, the vision is already set about where we're going with our community. That's already set in the comprehensive plan. So what we're trying to do now is get the regulations to back up that vision. And that's where the land development regulations come into play. I want to see us dedicate the resources to getting the job done, whether that's dedicating more dollars towards having staff work on this problem or having an outside consultant do it. I think we can get a draft of all the LDRs done in the next year out for public review. We have, as its current work plan is for this, it's another 4 years, and I think that's 4 years too long.
Pass the LDRs as quickly as possible. That takes a lot of process, public review, nitpicking through commas and periods and paragraphs. But do it as quickly as possible. The development community is waiting to start building houses, apartments, whatever we will allow them to do, but they're waiting. And the sooner it gets done, the better off we will be for the housing situation. We have the vision. We know what we want to do. We just have to write down the legal description. And that would be as soon as possible. If it's 4 years, it's way too long. Even 1 year seems a long time to get that done. But it needs to be done expediently.
Well, we've worked a long time on the comprehensive plan, and the vision is finished. It isn't like we're without LDRs. We do have LDRs. We just don't have the new ones that are coming in under the new vision. And I can't tell you whether we're fast or slow. It seems to be pretty slow, but it's a tremendous job. For one thing, we're switching to a form-based code, and we have this idea where when you come in to build a house or a business or something, that they'll be able to give you a packet or send you to a certain group of pages. And basically everything you'll need to know is going to be in that group of pages. You don't have to go flipping back and forth from this and that and whatnot. You will know what it is, and it's going to take time. If you want a cookie cutter community, you can have that, and you can have all your LDRs in 2 or 3 months. If you want the kind of community that Jackson is and think it's going to take longer, we certainly, Tyler and Alex worked unceasingly to get it out. It's a tremendous job, and it's an expensive job. I have to ask the mayor how many hundreds of thousands of dollars the county and city have spent so far, but it's not an easy job.
Thanks, Bob. My comments on moving the LDRs forward is that everybody recognizes that it's essential and it will lead to implementing our vision. But I will caution everybody to be wary of the naivete that a central and important set of guidelines should be rushed or should be passed in haste. The sort of work that goes into the analysis, we just moved the administrative restructure forward, we're moving on to downtown redevelopment. These are tedious, these are extensive, these are contemplative and deliberative processes. They involve many stakeholders. I might remind everyone that a man's home is his castle, and property owners would like to not have their property trodden upon. So I will continue to work patiently, conscientiously, and fairly to see that the process unfolds in a rational, transparent, long view manner, and I probably will not yield to hasty campaign notions of condensing critical work into little snippets.
Thank you. Next question. If you could address one and only one key issue during your term that would be remembered as the defining achievement of your tenure, what would it be and how would you go about accomplishing it? John, you go.
That would definitely be getting the land development regulations completed. To play out a little bit of what Don and Bob just said, the vision is already there in a comprehensive plan. We already know where we're trying to go with development, and I don't think it's unreasonable to be able to say that we can get a draft done, a full draft of our land development regulations out for review in the next year. To say that that's a job that can't be done, that the community can't react to, I think is just not a very true or accurate statement. We know where we need to go, and we need to get it out there for people like you to review and provide input on, because another 4 years is 4 years too long. So that is my number one goal as your councilman, will be getting our land development regulations done, because it's good for town and it's good for business.
Well, since the mayor position is only 2 years, I thought I wouldn't be able to address anything long-term, like finding a funding source for housing or whatnot. So I think my best ambition would be to get Budge Drive back into functioning shape. I think that can be accomplished within the next 2 years. They have a vigorous campaign going on for next summer, and I'm sure it will splash over into the year after that. So we find the money, we get the engineers, the geologists, and put Budge Drive back into place and service those people at the top of the hill. If we are into public health and welfare, is what the town does.
I think my main priority would be the new maintenance center down at the transit center. We would like to put more buses on the road. We would like to put more people in the buses. We cannot maintain any more buses than we have right now. In fact, last winter, we were just on the edge of not having enough buses to service the routes that we had published. And so I would have to put that as my first priority, because when we get the buses, then we can get the cars and the people off the road, and maybe we can convince people in this valley that if they will develop the centers of population into areas that can be serviced by public transportation, that this will be the greatest help as far as getting people off the road goes, and also the commuters from our outside valleys.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Michael. I'm going to take the outlier position on this response. Council service cannot be contained in a single issue. It requires continued, unrelenting commitment to results. My defining accomplishment will be in supporting a certain tone in the council, seeing that decisions are always made by transparent deliberation over facts, evaluating opportunities measured against the highest and best public good. I'll move forward on faster internet speeds, safer roads and sidewalks, a rational housing policy. I believe in town as heart, and I believe that public funds can be deployed when human services are in need. I'll work steadily on adopting the LDRs that guide our future, while I respect rights and property. I'll work to balance wholesome environments with healthy commerce toward sustainable, secure, and enjoyable lifestyles. Council service is a team effort. What we've done before matters, but what we will do together matters much more. I'm a team player. Sometimes I will lead by conviction, and sometimes by embracing the consensus view. I will lend my life experience and thoughtful judgment to help my neighbors. Simply, my most satisfying experience as your Jacksontown councilman, comes from listening to your concerns. Your vote on November 4th is your voice. I ask for your vote of confidence supporting Don Frank for the Jacksontown Council.
Thanks, Don. Unfortunately, there isn't one single issue. As all of us know, a year or so ago, not one single person in this room was thinking about Budge Drive. And yet here we are today. That is one of the most looming threats to not only our tourism economy, but public safety. Thanks to the work of the current town professionals and leadership, the council and Mayor Mark Barron, we are not facing any major threat to our safety. I think what the question behind the question is really, what do you bring to the table that will allow people to make a good decision on November 4th? And I hope by now, because we can all admit I've been out there a long time, I hope by now I have proven myself to be a collaborator, a leader, and a problem solver. I think what I would be most proud of is that you could say of me in the first 6 months as your mayor, I worked very well with the newly elected and current elected town council to ensure the teamwork that Mayor Barron and others have led continues to be the tone and serves you as the constituents. I guess finally I will say, in setting myself apart, I'm a working mom, I'm a business owner. I do not want my public service to be on your dime. I want to pay my own way with my business. I'll continue to do that. But serving you as a person who's got a lot of experience in every single issue facing our community, that's what I hope would set me apart. Thank you so much, and look forward to, let's say, 92% voter turnout on Tuesday.
Thank you all. You've done so well with the time today that we have a little extra time. So I'm going to give each of you a minute and a half for a closing statement. We'll start with you, Mark.
I want to be your mayor. I have experience and a depth of knowledge of this town and valley that I've accumulated piecemeal over the last 40 years. I've done this before, and I can do it again. I stand up for us. When developers come in and want special things, I expect them to give us special things, and I've done that. The 75 housing units on top of the Smith project that were not originally planned, and that they are now, and some of them are deed restricted. The entire process of being a servant is doing what you need, but also leading you with good information about how we can make a decision. I would expect more public input, and I know that I get public input in the grocery store, but I also know I need to have it in the council chambers. So I need you to participate in our government, and I will be your leader. Thank you.
I'll pass one down. Thank you.
Well, we've talked about a lot of different things, and just as some of these other candidates have said, we do have a multitude of major problems or things that we would like to solve. I would like to talk to you right now about a new community center. The green and white building in the fairgrounds is tired. It needs to be replaced. There is no place in this town that has, for the most part, has reasonable meeting facilities or dinner facilities for an organization, for exhibits, etc. And it's an idea that deserves to be vetted by the entire community. We deserve a first-class community center, and one that's versatile. And that would be one of the things that I would like to see as we go forward, as well as a good turnout next Tuesday. And for all you people that have already voted, thanks.
Thank you. It's interesting to look at it. So many hardworking and earnest people who have chosen to be more informed about these fine candidates, the challenges and opportunities that we face as a community. Things happen that can't be anticipated. And government has to be both responsible and reflexive. The Budge hillside situation is one that has caused great discomfort and inconvenience to working folks and businesses. And the town council has handled it calmly, has handled it with equanimity, has looked carefully and thoughtfully at potential solutions, and we will incentivize a good outcome. We do that on all the issues that face us, and we try to do it impartially. I'm interested in setting a tone and preserving a tone, and I credit Mayor Mark Barron. He set the standard very high. We're there to serve, we're there to listen, we're there to understand. We're not there to bring agendas. We are there to identify the highest and best public good. I ask for your vote humbly, wishing only to be a vehicle to bring your hopes and dreams and prayers towards real public policy and real results.
Since I'm sitting right next to him, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of my prayers. Do you have a direct line?
Happy to do it for you.
I love the Rotary in the chamber, by the way. Every other time I'm looking at the clock with fear because they give us like 45 seconds. You are the generous for them. I want that to be known from here on out with 90 whole seconds. I think you're getting an idea of what we stand for and who we are. Obviously, I am joined by incredible talent at this table, people who are as committed and dedicated to this community as you are and as I am. I hope that you have heard what I stand for, which is you, and that I believe it is time to leverage a type of leadership and skill set that, based on expertise and scientifically proven approaches, that we do get that collective wisdom at the table. Certainly, we know housing is number one, transportation not far behind it. But I want to reiterate what I said before. What we're really talking about with all of the issues, we're talking about each other, how we maintain connections, how we maintain relationship with our neighbors and our friends and our work colleagues, people that we care about and who care for us. That's what's at stake for our community in the coming years and generation or so. I recognize that as you do, and I'm willing to serve on your behalf to protect what we love. Thanks so much for coming out today.
Jackson is a community that I just really care about, and it's a part of me. What I want to be able to do is have the opportunity for you to be able to represent you and try and bring my talents as an architect and as a planning commissioner, where I work collaboratively every day with teams of people to try and come up with solutions to this community, and I would really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you all. Now, change to the guard, we will announce districts 22 and 23.